Did you know that the first ever child memoir about detention under Trump's family separation policy is being published this year? Detained is the sort of reading experience that comes along once in a generation. I'd like to take this book and make everyone currently living in the US read it. D'Esperanza was only 13 years old and on his own. He was caring for his little cousin, giving up school to work any job he could, and also deeply missing his parents and his little sister who he had never met who went to El Norte when he was tiny. So Dee and a handful of his cousins decide to start on this long and dangerous and frightening journey. First, they have to make it up north to Mexico and then across the border to the United States. They make it and they survive so much together, but once they cross the border, the four boys are ripped apart and placed in child detention centers. Dee is then detained for another 5 months, even though his parents are living in the US and desperate for him to come home to them. He's moved from place to place in the middle of the night, looked down on or just treated with apathy, and he faces all kinds of cruelty. This is all under Trump's family separation order, but also just the larger violence of US immigration policies. Dee pours everything into this journal, and he also forms very deep friendships with other kids going through the same terrors, and one shining light of a mentor who becomes a brotherly figure and later helps him publish this book. He writes with the raw and unfiltered voice of a child, and his journal entries are sweetly addressed to his grandmother who passed away shortly before he left home. There's a lot of trauma in these pages, and Dee faces his situation with resilience and strength way beyond his years. He asks again and again why nobody cares, why nobody will give him a simple answer, why he's continually dragged away in the middle of the night without a chance to say goodbye, and so much more. It was an unraveling experience to see the pain inflicted in my own backyard through a child's eyes. He also writes assuming that nobody will ever read his words, and that lends itself to powerful and honest emotion. I was grateful for the epilogue and to see that Dee is now doing okay and is working on healing, but obviously no child should ever have to go through any of what he experienced. There are threads of hope in these pages as he forms relationships with boys who become like brothers to him, and he works on a bit of his own poetry, but overall it is of course devastating and deeply infuriating. Detained is an absolute must-read that isn't easy to live in but reflects this country's reality. I'm very glad this book exists and I hope to see it everywhere once it's released. It's coming out in just a couple of weeks, but please pre-order if you can and request it at your local library and do all the things you can to help make this a success.